Hello and welcome to Canadian Humour. This week I'm reading from Stuart McLean's Welcome Home, Travels in Small Town, Canada, another book that I was lucky to find at my local thrift store. On the top it says, "A book that deserves to be lingered over and savoured like a chat with an old friend." That's from Maclean's magazine. The story I want to read today is both heartwarming and I think especially important right now because it's an example of community and sharing and small towns. This story is from Maple Creek, Saskatchewan, and as the title on the book suggests, these are all based on Stuart McLean's travels throughout the country. On the inside cover it says, "Across thousands of miles, the Canadian population clusters like loosely strung beads on the thread of the 49th parallel. This is truly Canada, a vast stretch of land and a bounty of small towns." In Welcome Home, Stuart McLean takes us on a heartwarming journey from one coast to the other to visit these small yet vibrant places and meet their remarkable citizens. On page 11, there are two barbers in Maple Creek, and their two storefronts face each other across Jasper Street. Joe's barber shop is on the east side of Jasper. Darcy's is on the west. Both are one-chair affairs, and both barbers are sitting in their chairs reading the newspaper on the afternoon I decide to get my hair cut. I sail doggedly up and down the street looking for a sign that will recommend one establishment over the other. On my third tack, I settle on Darcy. It's not often you see a barber with a hacksaw hanging in his chair. There was a time when healthcare was more direct, when barbers used to bleed people as well as trim their hair. I indulge my curiosity. "Do you play chess?" asked Darcy Lewis as he wraps a sheet around my neck. There's a chessboard set up on a small table near the wall. A game is in progress. "I don't play very well," I say. Darcy looks more like an ex-wrestler than a chess player. His tummy droops over his belt, toothpick pokes out of his mouth. He slides the toothpick smoothly from side to side as he talks. "I had a customer who moved into town about 15 years ago. He couldn't find anyone to play with, so he bought me a book and we started up. He used to come in for a game every morning, but he's getting on now and we only play a couple of times a week." "Too bad," I say. Darcy, who's been running his electric clippers over my neck, moves on to the top of my head. Apparently he doesn't use scissors. "About a month ago, a Czechoslovakian fellow came to town to visit his aunt. She's in the hospital here. He can't speak a word of English, but he came into the store one day and pointed at the board and sat down. I play with him whenever he comes by." "What's his name?" I ask. "I don't know," says Darcy. "We can play chess, but we can't talk at each other." Clumps of my hair are drifting down and landing in my lap like tumbleweeds. "It's not often," Darcy continues, motioning towards the wall with the buzzing clippers. "It's not often you see a barber with a hacksaw." "No," I concede. "I do some woodwork as well as barbering." "Oh. It used to be a lot busier. Once there were 6 barbers in town, and all 6 of us were busier than the 2 of us are today. Saturday nights I used to close for supper and then come back. There'd always be a line-up. I'd be here till after 10. Some days I come to work and just sit. No one comes in at all. One fellow tells me that folks are getting their hair cut down in the States. You can get it done for $5 down there, and most folks go down once a month anyway. It can get pretty discouraging, so I do woodwork when things get quiet. I work on projects at home, then bring them in here to finish them off. Darcy holds up a mirror so I can see his handiwork. Short enough? He asks. Yes, I say. He's cut my hair short on both sides, but left it long and swirling on top in the style of the early 50s. It makes me smile. The haircut is $7. I give him a $3 tip and sit down to see what happens next. 45 minutes pass before the next customer arrives and is sent on his way. He didn't pay, I say as the door closes behind him. No, says Darcy, I owed him a haircut. He's a kind of handyman around town, and he was over to the house on the weekend to tend to some plumbing. We've been doing this for a couple of years now. I call him whenever I need something done, and he comes in here afterwards. It works out good. Otherwise, he'd probably never get his hair cut. Do you do that with anyone else? Darcy motions to the pile of egg cartons stacked in the corner. I have a bachelor who brings me eggs. He brings me 4 or 5 dozen every couple of weeks, and I give him a haircut. I haven't bought eggs in years. The day's going fast, he says, looking at his watch. I've done maybe 6 haircuts already. What do you do when you need a haircut? I ask. Where do you go? Across the street at Joe's. Where does Joe go? He comes here. We trade. I go there. Later in the week, he comes here. We never pay. He runs his fingers through his closely cropped black hair. He really got me the last time. I'm satisfied, but sometimes my wife complains. She thinks he cuts it too short. I wanted to share that story today because there are so many wonderful elements to it. The idea of trading versus needing money for things. The gentleman who didn't speak English, but they were both able to play checkers, and it was something for him to do while he was there taking care of a sick relative. There's just so many parts to this story about the connections between humans, not the country they come from or how much money they have. I do hope many people remember that in the days to come, because we all sadly know that things are going to become very challenging and very difficult. But keep in mind, community matters, connection matters, shining your light bright matters. Please know that I value and appreciate all the connections that I've been honored to make through this YouTube channel. Be safe, be well, and big hugs.